Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's video. Day 10 will take us to the 18th of December, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM Ensembles. Maybe run around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at CFS V2 at the end of the video for January. And I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video released today was our 6 a.m. UK weather forecast. We've also released January Friday. We'll be live at 10:30 with the pub run. Ooh, I don't know. I'll see you then for that one. Okay, let's start off censoring temperature. Remember, the CT has ticked up slightly. We're now sitting at 2.2. That is 2.3 degrees below the 61 to 1990 average. That's provisional to yesterday, to the 7th of December. Obviously, we are going to be coming out colder than average for the first week of December, quite significantly and substantially so. But this is going to be getting a boost over the next few days. So I would imagine by this time next week, we're likely to be in the 4s, maybe in the 5s. We shall see. It'll be interesting how quickly that rises up, but we are about to lose that colder than average anomaly, and this is the reason why these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We'll look where today. This is a suggested location for this part of the video. If you'd like to have your local town or city featured in this part of the video, then please let us know through the comments or email us at GavsWeatherVids@gmail.com, etc, etc. And we're happy to feature your local town or city. So we're starting off around a bit above average at the moment. Actually feel very mild out there this morning when I was out and about. Now you can see we're a bit up and down, but overall we're above average over the next few days. So, you know, there's going to be warmer and cooler sectors all day, but it's a zonal setup, and averaging it all out, we're above average there. As we go towards the middle part of next week, perhaps going a little bit cooler then, just briefly, and then we're lifting the upper air temperature back up again. You'll notice the thick green line, the GFS operation run, really picking up. So that becomes actually quite warm from an upper air temperature perspective as we go into the middle part of December, which sort of gets us to the end of next week and into next weekend. However, that is anticyclonic. It's being brought about by high pressure, so it might not necessarily be that mild on the surface. The air will be very still and stagnant, and we might get frost and fog and that sort of thing. And then we get into the run up to Christmas just here, and you'll notice the white line is dropping quite substantially actually for this far out. So we have got a cooling trend here as we're approaching Christmas. Clearly the upper air temperatures are favouring colder conditions. And you'll notice that the thick green line goes from being really quite warm. Remember, this is the operational run, and I'll show it in a moment. It goes from being really quite warm just there. The upper air temperatures are actually going really quite cold as we approach Christmas. So it is going for a cold spell, and you'll see how that happens shortly. Precipitation-wise, lots more rain to come over the next few days. Several more bouts of rain on the way. However, by the middle of the second half next week and into the third weekend of December, things are looking drier into that area of high pressure. Remember, precipitation comes back a little bit as we run up towards Christmas period, but of course that's a really long way out. Snow row looks like that. Nothing of interest for the next week, 10 days, but we do see a few snow spikes starting to appear there as we approach the Christmas period with some of those ensembles. Again, that's a very long way out, so just something to keep an eye on at the moment. Temperature anomalies should be 8th to 16th of December, coming out above average. It's going to be mild average week to come. Precipitation anomalies should be 8th to 16th of December. They're coming out near normally in most places. Driving average across northern Scotland and every parts of the southwest of England into Wales, nearer normal further eastwards, and wetter than average to southern Scotland. So a lot of variation going on there. Latest Windflow Map from earthnullschool.net shows that low pressure is dominating the weather. Low pressure centred just to the west of Ireland and Scotland today, and there's another area of low pressure in the Atlantic with more active weather fronts that will be on their way to us over the weekend and into next week. Right, so let's start going through chart data then with some latest UK Met Euro run. It's looking for midnight on Monday. Low pressure still in control of the weather, so plenty more rain to come. That takes us through to the middle of next week, still under the influence of low pressure, so further wet weather on way. Then the low pressure slinks away to south into the second half of next week with a ridge of high pressure starting to build in, turning drier and potentially a bit colder at about ridge, but maintaining a west-south-westerly flow into the north again. So any frost risk in the second half next week would be for England and Wales, I would have thought, while Scotland and Northerly keep wind in from west-south-west and probably have further showery bursts. That's as far as we get to with the UK Met. Icon, again, looking very unsettled on Monday with more low pressure to come, and then low pressure slinking through the country through the middle part of next week, a ridge building from the southwest to the northeast, and a little bit strong with that area of high pressure, I think, actually, compared to the UK Met. So more of the country settles down for the second half next week. 1,040 millibar of high pressure is really quite an intense anticyclone sitting across the south. That could deliver frost and fog to England and Wales. I think, again, for Scotland and Northern, we are dragging in that southwesterly flow. So they're probably quite cloudy and relatively mild. The risk of frost would be towards the centre of this high pressure where skies are clear. Even there might be a lot of cloud trapped under that high pressure, which would keep the temperature higher. But the greatest chance, anyway, of some frost and fog would be for England and Wales there. Right, that's that one done. So now we're going to go on to the new model, the KMA. We've been talking about this for a week. We have got a new model from South Korea. We have to go to Precipitation.fr for this one. Oh, again, we're starting off at 72 hours, low pressure in the ascendancy, looking really quite unsettled then. Low pressure keeps coming into the middle of next week, then clears away as the ridge builds out to west, so it starts to turn dry and a little bit cooler, especially so for England and Wales. Frost risk possible. Scotland remains relatively mild in that west-south-westerly wind. Into the end of next week and the weekend of the, I think it's 15th, 16th of December, or is it 16th, 17th of December? High pressure builds strongly then. So high pressure really take over and start to reach up towards Scandinavia as well. So we're bringing in much more a continental flow. So most of the country away from the far northwest of Scotland and Northern Ireland will be turning frosty with that. And there will be an increasing risk of freezing fog coming in as well. So a strong anticyclone gets going with the KMA as we go beyond mid-month, and that high pressure is maintained right way up to the 20th of December as far as we go with the KMA. High pressure continues to dominate. A bit of an easterly wind down the south. That might bring a few snow flurries into southern southeastern regions. But I think the main issue is that with high pressure, we will be looking at plenty of frost and fog there. It does look as though the high might be starting to pull out into the Atlantic as well. Could that be 13th from the KMA of the northerly blast for Christmas? Let's have a look at the GFS midnight run. So, again, we've got low pressure in control on Monday. Plenty of wet weather to come with that. Into the middle next week, again, low pressure dominates them through the second half next week. High pressure taking over, a strong ridge building. Again, a bit further north with that area of high pressure. More of the country having a risk of frost and fog there. Relatively mild for Scotland, though, with those west to southwesterly winds. And then beyond that, so high pressure continues to sit more or less over the country around and after day 10, so an increasing risk, I think, of frost and fog. And then we get towards the end of the GFS midnight run. Look what's happening with the high pressure. It begins to go into a retrograde, or should I say, retrograde, pulling out into the Atlantic and starting to reach north as a trough of low pressure dropping in to Scandinavia and northern Europe. And so as we run up to Christmas, this is Eve of Christmas Eve, 23rd of December, we've got a northerly wind setting in, and that is Christmas Eve. On the GFS midnight run, looking cold and wintry with a strong block of high pressure setting up around Iceland, a corresponding trough of low pressure sinking southwards through Europe And we are pulling in most cold north or northeast winds. Look at the upper air temperatures. Most parts of northern Europe plunged into the freezer. Classic white Christmas for Scandinavia and Nordic regions. And even for us, you know, we are bringing pretty cold air from the northeast, and certainly there will be a risk of significant overnight frost and snow showers with that. So nice and seasonal there for Christmas Eve on the GFS midnight run. The caveat, of course, is that this is 384 hours away, so it's a very, very, very long way out, and therefore is really unreliable. But it's a nice little bit of eye candy anyway on the midnight run. Let's see how the GFS 6Z is looking. So again, low pressure dominating the weather through the early part of next week, and then in the second half of next week, a ridge building from west to northeast that could deliver them overnight frost. A strong area of high pressure sets up through the end of the week and into next weekend. Again, there is a risk of frost and fog coming in with that. A little bit of a gruesome twosome into the extending beyond day 10 again. Take the high pressure out into the Atlantic, dropping in the cold northerly a little bit quicker with that northerly on the 6th. So by the 21st of December, we've got a northerly blast going on there. Upper air temperatures looking cold as well. Northerly continues into the 22nd of December, but although the northerly happens quicker and you know, it happens not as far out, it's not as stable with that northerly. So you'll notice that we're just looking at a ridge here for the Atlantic rather than a proper block. So the result of that is that by Christmas Eve, actually, we're starting to bring milder air in over the top of the high. The ridge is collapsing, and lower pressure started to come in from off the Atlantic. So we get the northerly quicker. We get a pre-Christmas northerly, but by Christmas itself, probably starting to go milder as winds coming in from off the Atlantic, and you can see the difference, you know, between the two. That's a prolonged cold spell that we've got setting up there with that block of high pressure around Iceland and Greenland, and the trough through here. You know, it will take quite a few days to get out of that. So that will keep that up to Christmas Eve, that will keep it cold Christmas Day, Boxing Day, probably even for a couple of days after that at least. Whereas this is all much flimsier. Go back to it. This is much flimsier just here. It's not a proper block that we have around Greenland and Iceland. It's only a mid-Atlantic region. So although the northerly happens sooner, happens quicker, it also breaks down in a much quicker fashion as well. But all variations of the theme. You know, this is all very extended range stuff, so it's like a couple of weeks away or more, and so let's just wait and see how it evolves. If you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much everybody for doing that, and why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos, and don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much everybody for doing that for us. We only need to put on around 9 subscribers to get to 17.4k, so our next 100 within 17k is imminent. If you could give us a sub and tell your friends and family to subscribe, that would be incredible. Thank you so much. Can we get to 18k before the end of the winter? Won't that be epic? We'll see. Right, okay, GM again with low pressure in the ascendancy in control for Monday. More low pressure dominating through to mid next week. Then a nice ridge building in the second half of next week will settle things down, but also turn things a little bit colder. That gets us through to the end of next week and into the weekend of 16th, 17th of December. High pressure again ridging into south could bring frost and fog there, but milder for Scotland and Northern Ireland with more of a westerly flow. And then by day 10, high pressure just really dominating the weather. So again, the greatest risk of frost and fog are going to be in the south and in the west, whereas northern regions with more of a west-south-westerly flow, that's where we'll have the risk of, well, not the risk, but that's where we'll have milder temperatures and more cloud. Even down in the south, we could have a lot of cloud under this area of high pressure, and if we do, that will limit frost and fog potential even there. And then the ECM WF looking like that. So again, we've got low pressure in control for Monday. That carries on into the middle of next week. Then below gets out of way of ridge building through to Thursday. So we'll bring a risk of frost patch for England and Wales, but still relatively mild for Scotland. And then beyond that, well, we head up toward day 10. We have high pressure dominating in the south. No greatest risk of some frost there. But further north, actually, we're bringing in that west-southwesterly flow. Looks relatively mild and probably quite cloudy. That's the setup for day 10. A lot of dry weather. Away from the far northwest Scotland, anyway, where there will probably be some rain. I think a lot of cloud with that. Again, the greatest risk of frost and fog is the central southern parts of England, where it's close to the area of high pressure, and it is an intense high pressure at 1040 millibars as well. This precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. We've got more rain piling in from the west and southwest tonight and tomorrow morning. And then showery Sunday, further wet weather driving through the country as we go into the beginning of next week as well. Back to showery conditions, more rain into the middle of next week too. And then we get the trend towards something drier, so you'll notice there is some wet weather into the north and west at the end of next week, but southern areas having a lot of dry weather, and then beyond that we keep it just pretty wet in the far northwest Scotland, but most places looking relatively dry. Oh, I haven't zoomed in, so I tell you what, let's do that then. So it's always something to remember, isn't it? Now, I do wish the Icelandic Met Office would bring these cluster scenarios back, but I don't know if they are. Actually, been a long time. I mean, we're getting on for a month since we last had these clusters of the Icelandic Met Office, so I don't know now if they're ever going to come back. I don't think they've ever been gone as long as this. They have always sort of come and go on that. But it's been a long time now, so maybe the Icelandic Met Office just discontinue them, and I'm going to bring them back. Anyway, these are the upside of the table within the ECM ensembles today for the 18th of December. 19 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure out to west, low pressure to the northeast. So winds sort of going northwest to southeast there. Driest weather in the south and the west. We're not all that far away from pulling in a cold northerly blast there. We've got 13 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure right over top of the country, acting mostly dry with risk of frost and fog. And then we've got 9 down here with high pressure over slightly to the east country. Again, that probably brings the risk of some frost and fog in with it as well. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. No, what I'm talking about, this is a continuation of day 10. So this is still for the 18th of December. 8 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure just to the south-southwest, low pressure to the north-northwest. So that could be milder, with more of an Atlantic flow. Should still be relatively dry in the south, though. And then we've got 2, just 2, with a proper Scandinavian high up here, low pressure to the south. That brings winds in from a cold easterly direction, but only 2 going for that option. Then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 23rd of December, eve of Christmas Eve. 19 members of the ECM ensembles maintaining an Atlantic flow with low pressure to the north and west, high pressure down towards Spain. That brings the wind in from a relatively mild westerly direction. We've also got 13 then with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, but pulling out in towards the Atlantic. So that is relatively mild up to the 23rd of December, but beyond that could pull in a cold northerly. We've got 11 actually going cold for the eve of Christmas Eve with a mid-Atlantic ridge, low pressure to our south and east. That will bring the wind in from a colder northerly direction. And then we've got 8 just here with a mid-Atlantic ridge going to Greenland, so a blocking feature, low pressure down there, but because of this ridge over to the east, we probably bring the wind up from the south-southeast despite the block, despite that block of high pressure. So that's one of the ways that even with northern blocking, we could still finish up relatively mild. A range of options there as we approach the Christmas period. I think a lot of uncertainty as we're approaching Christmas. Before that, day 10, I think it's looking basically anticyclonic then. But where that high pressure goes, what happens as we get towards Christmas, looks pretty uncertain. Lastly, CFS V2 for January. Look away now if you want to call January. Can't forecast snow, can forecast southwest. Is still going below pressure around Greenland, Iceland. High pressure down towards Spain and Biscay. Winds therefore will be coming in from west from southwest. The temperature anomaly looks very mild, if not warm, for January in those red colours. That's like a couple of degrees above average, and precipitation wise, not much of a signal, but west average to our north and driving average to our south. We'll wait and see about that. Right, we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Why don't drop a comment? Let's know I think about this in all my videos. I am trying to get through the comments. I'm very, very behind, like 2 weeks worth of comments to get through. I'm going to get through them though eventually, but it's going to take me a little while. But please drop a comment, you know, and sub, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. We're back at 10:30 with the pub run. I should see you then for that. We'll just say what's coming up over the weekend. Tomorrow, we've got 6 AM UK weather forecast, EC42 day, weekend forecast, and 10 to 14 day. And I think on a Christmas update pencil, it's going to be 5 videos tomorrow. Goodness gracious. And then on Sunday, 6 AM forecast. No long range this Sunday, so we're having a pause of the long range after we released winter forecast last week. So I've got a rather quieter weekend actually. No long range to do. What am I going to do with myself? But there will be a 10 to 14 day, and we'll be live at 6 PM. I think we'll do Ensembles Watch. We'll bring back Ensembles Watch, I think, this week, and we'll show you like 12Z data, probably some long range. So it'll be a fun stream, and that'll be at 6 PM on Sunday. Now enjoy the rest of your Friday, and if you're around the channel at half 10, so doing a pub run tonight, so if you're around there, then check in. But for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.